Hello. I didn't see you there. Well, welcome to Paleontologizing. And welcome once again to the high desert of eastern Utah. Really glad you could be here today. We are digging up some dinosaurs just behind me here, and, well, I'm gonna walk you through it in just a minute. But, hello everybody. It's good to have you here. Lenina, Lordy, Red Crayon Bandit, Matt M33, Crimson Carnotaurus. Hello. Glad you could make it today. It is Friday, July 19th, 2024 today, and I'm digging with the Utah Geological Survey out here near Moab, Utah, in the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation. So we are continuing our excavation from yesterday. We'll be in the same quarry for the next 3 weeks, basically. And we're excavating some more of this new iguanodont dinosaur. And I'm excited to show you more of that. We've got our same bone from yesterday, but I've uncovered more of it. We're going to see if maybe I can trench around it. Maybe we can even get a top jacket on that today. Well, that might be a little bit too ambitious. Utah State paleontologist Jim Kirkland is going to be joining us this evening. I kind of doubt he'll show up during the stream, but we'll see. And we're expecting some more volunteers joining us soon, too, including Nick from San Diego. So it's going to be good to see him again. Hello, everybody. Claire Burr, I hope you are doing well. It's good to see you, Claire. Missed you yesterday. Mr. Christoph, Golganek, Lazjoma, Elbatra, F. Mike, and Spiffiness. How are you all doing? It is wonderful to have you here. Man, let me tell you, it's really nice to not have to lug the streaming gear back and forth like I have to do in Wyoming. Kind of just leave it here in the quarry because camp is, right over there. I don't know if you can see that over there, but there's my car and my tent, and then beyond that, we've got our main camp. Got some other tents kind of scattered around, and it's good to be here. It feels like home, It's my third season being out here, third summer at this particular spot, digging in this quarry, and it's a privilege to be able to bring you along. Stumbling over my words, I gotta drink some water here. But yeah, if it's your first time, then let me show you around. Oh, and let me introduce myself, too. Shoot, where are my manners? If anybody's new here, my name is Danny Anduza. Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. A paleontologist is a fossil scientist, as you probably studies fossils, studies the history of life on Earth. I specialize in dinosaurs, and many of us in the quarry here do the same. Dinosaurs are what we study, what we publish on in the scientific literature, and during the summer, what we dig up. So I'm really excited to be able to kind of walk you through this, show you firsthand what it's like to dig up dinosaurs, show you how this works, and of course, answer your questions. That's how this is different from some sort of a static presentation like a YouTube video or something. This is interactive here. The whole point is to be able to show you live how this stuff works, and for you to be able to ask questions and chime in, and this is the best way that I know of doing like a heart-to-heart with our audience back home. So really glad you could be here, and don't hesitate with those questions. And popping any tires yet? Yeah, one of the tires on the trailer, like the part of the sidewall, just got sheared off by a sharp rock or something on the way in, so we had to change that tire as soon as we got to camp on Tuesday. But yeah, and you can take your fossils back home to the museum. There you go, freelance, absolutely. Yeah, and Science Streams, how are you doing, Valent? It's great to see you. You make me blush, my goodness. I'm just really lucky to be able to do what I'm passionate about, and I'm lucky that people want to tune in and see it, That's pretty special. I think a lot of people kind of grow up dreaming of being a paleontologist, of digging up fossils, especially dinosaurs. Very few people ever get to do that, or even get to see what that's like. So I'm really glad to be able to share that with everybody here. Anyway, let me go get some water, and we'll go see what's going on in the quarry. And if anybody's wondering how in the world do we broadcast from way out here in the middle of nowhere, from the remote desert of eastern Utah, this is how. A satellite dish, router, solar battery, and solar panels. So, yeah. Good stuff. And Crimson Carnotaurus, all of these fossils are going to the Natural History Museum of Utah in Salt Lake City. That is our official repository for these fossils. And yeah, so hopefully one day these are going to be on display after they get published. So yeah, give it a few years. Because again, these things take years or decades usually. Requires some patience and a lot of hard work. If there's one of the ideas I want to get across today, it's that. And, you know, dinosaur paleontology is not an instantaneous thing. It takes years and years of work, you know, to get a new genus or species out there, and that's what we're working on here. And I agree, Charlie's Dragon, yeah. Anyhow, let's get some water. So, welcome once again to the quarry. I'll drink some water and then I'll introduce everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. And let's look at our current temperature. Okay. Not too shabby. Yeah, a little bit cooler than yesterday, I think. That's not bad at all. All right. Anyway, here we are in the quarry. There's the bone that I was working on yesterday. Still working on it. It seems to have turned into a humerus. Ethan was saying yesterday he thought it was a humerus, and that is definitely a humerus. Humerus is the upper arm bone, right up here. This is from an iguanodontian dinosaur, and I brought my visual aids today. So let's pull that out and I'll show you a skeletal diagram. Here's Karen, and Don, and Ethan, and Fisher. Everybody. And yeah, we are hard at work, or rather, they're hard at work. I'm yapping to the camera right now. And let me find that diagram. There we go. This is iguanodon right here. That's Iguanodon bernosartensis, the largest species of iguanodon that I know of. This is the basic kind of dinosaur that we're looking at here, although ours is significantly older than this. Iguanodon bernosartensis is, what, like 120 million years old? Iguanodon?
I'd have to check, but yeah, something like that.
Something like that? Yeah. So ours is probably about 20 million years older here. And significantly more primitive, if you want to use that kind of terminology. But yeah, same basic kind of body plan. Big, mostly four-legged plant-eating dinosaur. They may have been facultatively bipedal, so able to kind of run on their hind legs, but most of the time they're walking around on all fours. And the bone that I've got here is the humerus, upper arm bone of this animal, right there. That's what we're looking at here. So our critter is a little bit smaller than this guy, but yeah. Anyway, good stuff. And and Crimson Carnotaurus wants to know, besides this group working on the iguanodont, have you got a few teams working on digs around the area? No, it's just us.
This isn't Wyoming anymore.
Yeah. That's right, like we are the only ones on the crew at the moment. But Jim is going to be joining us this evening, it sounds like, and Nick will be joining us too. So, yeah. I'm going to jump from 5 to 7 as of this evening. So, yeah.
Right in Don's sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah, Don, our crew chief here, kind of prefers a smaller crew, you know? Easier to micromanage.
Exactly. You're on to me, buddy. It's exhausting to micromanage more than that.
Cosmological Kev, good to see you too. Yeah. And Johnny Kilo, we're working in the Cedar Mountain Formation.
I got a few bones here if you want.
Actually, yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, I don't know how well they can actually see anything on that.
No, it's a
pretty
pretty
good.
decent camera.
Pretty good.
It's a wide-angle lens, but
Yeah.
still.
So
Right here.
this was left over from last year. We had it just
That's
last
winter
year. We
jacket.
got to here and we didn't want to go any further. We had to finish up.
Yeah.
So this got capped, and actually Jim had it mapped, and it said "See ya in 2024."
Nice.
And then as I cleared up, I haven't actually pulled this old one off, but you can see I got a long bone going in there.
Look at that.
It's kind of a shaft, and not quite sure. And then
Could that be a metatarsal or something?
or a little
It's a long
tibia.
one,
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, because we know we've got juvenile bones in here as well. And then this was a nice. I mean, I think it was a phalanx, like a hoof essentially, like the end of a toe.
Oh, like an ungule under
Yeah, ungual in there.
Nice.
So that's been capped, and then unfortunately there's a little other fragment of bone going under. So
Oh,
I
that
have to try
complicates
to
things.
slip it off. But then there we got, I think, another more intermediate phalanx there.
Nice. Finger or toe bone, yeah.
And then right here, it's a little harder to see, but there's a bone here. Could be another like humerus or something too.
Nice.
You can see that's going under, so I have to clear more of that up. But
Very cool.
yeah, so we
Yeah,
got
lots of limb stuff.
some decent stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we pulled out the other map, and so this is where we got a bunch of those big limb bones last year. So. And now we got to keep going this way. Obviously, we got to get that generator going again so we can
Use the jackhammer,
get the jackhammer going.
Yeah, so we were doing some jackhamming yesterday with the jackhammer, and then the ripcord on it, pull cord, what do you call that? Pull cord broke. So we need a proper socket set, and I thought I had mine. I guess I left it back home in the Bay Area, but we'll need to be able to take that apart to install a new cord on it. But that's what happens when you've got gear that you use for years and years and years, and it's outside under the UV and everything. Sometimes stuff breaks.
It is a Honda,
Yeah.
so at least it does keep going.
Oh yeah, no, I think
But
it's
it
gonna run
is
forever.
older,
Take care of it.
Yeah, I think that was already been purchased when I started, so
Shoot.
Oh wow.
23 years old or something. It doesn't get used that often, but when it does,
Yeah.
it's harsh conditions.
Yeah. Another, I guess, illustration of how we really stretch every penny that we get out here. You know, a generator that was purchased 20 plus years ago, still working, or at least,
Still works, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just
So it's, yeah, it's good stuff. That's how we like it, you know. So any funding that we're able to get is, it goes a long way. That's the point that I'm making. I'm not trying to complain. I'm trying to say that.
Yeah, it's like I salvage that handle off another one of those tapes.
Yeah. You gotta be resourceful in this line of business for sure.
Fairly expensive for
Yeah.
hours.
Oh, and for all the early birds in chat, Don, can we see your running shirt today?
Oh, what do I got? The Art Attack 5K.
Oh, sounds serious.
With the
Serious as an Art Attack.
Utah Arts Festival
Nice.
5K. I don't know if they still have it anymore, but I ran it several times. So.
What year was that, you think?
I think it's 2008.
Yeah, June
Even older
28,
than last year,
2008.
yeah, so.
Nice. Well, thank you, Don. This concludes Don's running shirt of the day showcase.
The shirt of the day.
Yeah.
When I get home, I'll have to search through my closet to find some novel ones that I haven't shown on screen before.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be great. I like how they're mostly white shirts. When I used to do cross country and stuff, I used to always run with white shirts because it just reflects the most UV. It doesn't heat up as
I have a fair
much.
amount of colored ones at home, but I just haven't brought it out.
Yeah.
But white is
Anything that's like a lightish color is
brown.
preferable.
And
Yeah.
white.
But yeah, and Ken, how are you doing? Welcome. We're excited to have you out here. You'd be joining us tomorrow, perhaps, Ken? Yeah. And Sibley wants to know, does this location have multiple dig sites like in Wyoming, or is this the only one? Now, there's multiple sites throughout here, but we only really have the resources and the permits at present to dig one particular site. So that's right here. The site's called Ethan's Wash.
You have to buy more shake tapes.
Yeah. And volunteers. Yeah.
Which we don't want. So.
Yeah.
Jim does. Jim's
And-
sweet spot's about 20.
Oh, Johnny Kilo says, I'm curious how you can tell that this is from an iguanodont and not, let's say, a Tenontosaurus. So it's not from iguanodon proper, it's from an as yet unnamed kind of iguanodont. Seems like this animal is new. And
There's a T, iguanodont.
Iguanodont.
That's the group that iguanodon is a part of.
Thank you, Ethan.
Yeah. Iguanodontian would also work to really make it more audibly different.
Right.
And Tenontosaurus is an iguanodontian, so...
But Tenontosaurus is from the Cloverleaf Formation, which is, again, like 120 million years old?
Yeah, it's a lot
like
later.
That? Yeah, so this critter's like 20 million years older than that.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, osteologically, can you just give us a quick rundown, Karen, like how this animal would be different from Tenontosaurus?
Sure.
Or from what we know of the bones so far, without giving away too much.
Yeah, from things we know so far, this is more typical of the group we call ankylopalexia, and that literally means fused thumb. All right, the pollex is the thumb, and ankylosing is like fusing together. So we don't actually have a hand for this animal yet, but I think if we found one, I hope, we'd probably see that sort of thumb spike thing and like some fusion in that thumb and wrist bones. But that's inference right now based on other characteristics we have.
I mean, this is really similar to like Iguanocolossus or...
it is similar to like
Hippodraco,
Iguanocolossus and Hippodraco, which again, we don't have a manus for either one of them, but based on other characters, they're falling out within this group. And Tenontosaurus is still an iguanodontian, but it's outside. It branched earlier evolutionarily.
So it's more primitive, I guess, to use an older term.
To use an older term.
Yeah.
But but sort of, if we're thinking about the family tree, right? Tenontosaurus is a more distant cousin, right? It branched off earlier than all these other things that we're kind of looking at here.
Nice.
And in terms of the humerus itself, like Tenontosaurus, it's got this really big, chunky, what we call deltopectoral crest, which is just this sort of like ridge along the side of the humerus.
Which we don't really have on this guy yet, do we?
Yeah, you can see it. It's just a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say is on Tenontosaurus, it's like, it like really juts out. It's really angular and obvious. And on these guys, it's much more subtle. It's there. But like if we're looking at this, right, here's our humerus. This is the humeral head, so this would be basically the shoulder joint.
Oh, so there's the crest right there.
And the elbow is down here. Yeah, and so like this out here is our deltopectoral crest.
Yeah,
and like subtle. It's there. It's sort of this ridge sticking out. But on Tenontosaurus, it would be, I mean, it's not so much that it's more here, is that it would come like down like this and then like jut back in. Like there's like this big prominent like kind of shelf right there. So this does not look like Tenontosaurus. Just based on the humerus, I'm pretty confident.
Yeah,
it's not. But also,
that and it's 20 million years older.
That and it's a lot older and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of reasons to think it's not Tenontosaurus.
Yeah, but good question. Yeah, thanks for asking that, and thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then you look.
And let's see. Yusuf AI wants to know, pulling a stupid question from Jurassic Park, but are these digs funded by rich people or by a museum?
Yeah.
Can you be funded for several years? It'd be nice to be funded for several years. So we operate on, honestly, kind of a shoestring budget here, in the sense that all of this gear was, purchased years and years ago. Our biggest expenses during the summer are like a few $100s for gas and food, and most of us here are volunteers. We can really go a long way with very little money, especially compared to other branches of science, So yeah.
I don't know if you forgot.
But yeah,
something. I was trying to get it filled.
And Vox Ferox says, have you ever found something? I mean, I found this yesterday, or the day before. But I found a lot of dinosaurs in my career so far. At least one of them should be a new species. Still working on that. But, and that's why we're out here. We're finding stuff. That's the whole point. Yeah. And you're welcome, Yusuf. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Let's put this down. Let me keep digging. Everything good with Jim? Any idea when he's going to be here?
He's in
hours?
Price, so he's a couple hours away.
Okay, nice.
We'll probably be back at camp by the time
Nice.
he shows up.
Alright. Put that there. Okay. So for those of you who weren't here yesterday, I'm going to be continuing to work on this humerus, big upper arm bone of this animal. And so what I'm going to do is basically just kind of dig around here. Just kind of bring this surface downward. So we've got enough lateral space to work. We can trench around this. And then, stick a jacket over the top of it and get ready to flip it. That'll probably be like tomorrow that I jacket it. We'll see. And I've ever found coprolites. I have found a bunch of coprolites before. Most of them were crocodilomorph coprolites. Coprolites are fossil dung, for anybody who's not familiar. And croc coprolites tend to be pretty common, pretty distinctive. They're easy to identify because they've got this characteristic like spiral shape to them. And yeah, it's interesting in that like the fossil poops of meat-eating animals are more common than those of plant-eating animals, even though plant-eating animals are generally much more numerous and poop a lot more too. It's just their dung is mostly plant material, and so it's not as easily preserved. But carnivores, who've got a lot more like calcium in their dung, that just makes it easier to preserve that stuff. It makes it easier to fossilize. So they tend to be, if not preserved more often, at least identified more often. Because they tend to have better preservation. Yeah. I don't know. Could be like sampling bias, or they could actually just be more numerous because they're easier to preserve. I'm not a coprolithologist. I'm not up to date on those lines of thinking, but yeah. Yeah. And person on says going to take a stab here and say there's no protein powder in that jar. Really?
You might think that. Except for when you see the mussels that eat them. We do reuse a lot of containers.
We definitely do reuse a lot of containers, yeah. Yeah, like if you see a Gatorade bottle that's full of a clear kind of semi-viscous, homogeneous liquid, don't drink it, because that's probably glue. But here, it's not a sponsored stream. Let me turn that on.
Any kind of fruit bottle? Yeah. Oh, smart.
Not that Alicia comes up there.
And Lagan Core says, do you know what conditions make it possible for dung to fossilize? Well, like I said, the more calcium there is in it, the less mineralization you need, I guess. That's part of it. But I think just kind of like drying out on the surface before it gets buried is probably a key part of the process for creating a coprolite, for getting that thing preserved. Yeah. There's a lovely video in it with Karen Chin that if I were back in my office, I would I would show it to you and we could talk about this, but I don't have that at the ready. Maybe one of the mods has a link to that. But yeah, I myself am not a copper lithologist. It's not my area of specialty, so I don't want to, don't want to be blabbing too much about that. Something that I'm not an expert in by any stretch of the imagination. And DM Wing, this is not a screwdriver actually. This is an awl. Look. It'd be nice to be able to sharpen this one a little bit more, but when I'm digging in this really loose, unconsolidated material up here, this is just a really nice tool to use for that. And then when I'm actually getting down closer to where we're finding these bones, I'll switch to a much narrower one like that. Yeah. Yeah, and I should pointedly say, not an oyster knife. Because Don certainly does not approve of that kind of tool in the court.
Not on this court.
Yeah.
What you do in Montana, you can go up in Montana and do.
Yeah.
This is old hickory country.
Do you have a spare one of those, by the way? Because I've just got this guy. Did you say you had a new one?
There should be some others around.
Because it'd be nice to have more than one.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks, Don.
I have to hook up our little spinning wheel.
We had another question, too, about how paleontologists define a species. Alex, that's a great question. Shoot.
Worms there.
Yeah. It's the sort of thing that we argue about endlessly.
It's a little sharp, but not too bad.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Do you want me to take that, Danny?
Fire up.
If you want to, shoot. Are we going to talk about species concepts? Are we going to talk about...
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So,
I'm game for that.
So there's a lot of different ways the different kinds of scientists define species, and
Yeah.
if you
In like different branches of biology, we've got different definitions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look in sort of a good like college level intro biology course, there's probably some discussion of different kinds of species concepts. So the one that most people are probably familiar with is what we call the biological species concept. And that's the idea that a species is a population of animals that can...
Or any organisms.
Or
really,
any...
yeah.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say animals, you're right.
We always got to be careful not to be too, like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, not to be animal chauvinists here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that we're defining it as, you know, a population that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring, right?
Or that they, yeah.
So like
Yeah.
horses and donkeys can produce a mule, but that's sterile. So horses and donkeys would be considered separate species by
Yeah.
a biological species.
They're not
concept.
likely to interbreed in the wild, too, which
And they're-
is
yeah.
sometimes another caveat. It's like, they can, but do they?
But
you know?
do they,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so is there actually sort of gene flow among this population? So that's sort of another wrinkle in that. Now, obviously, we can't in any way begin to test the biological species concept with what we're working on with these fossil animals.
Right.
And so we tend to rely on two other species concepts. So one is called the morphological species concept, and that basically says that, you know, things that belong in a species have certain like physical characteristics, like they have a particular phenotype.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just now when I was talking about like, you know, the shape of the deltopectoral crest that we expect in Dinosaurs, that's
sorry.
the morphological species concept.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we rely on in paleontology a lot is, I'm trying to remember specifically what the name is. The evolutionary or
Phyletic?
like lineage, phylogenetic, something like
Phylogenetic
that.
species concept? Yeah, I've heard different names for it.
Yeah, I think maybe it's evolutionary, but regardless, this is the idea that like basically a species is is a lineage, right? It's not just like a population at a snapshot in time. It's like that whole, it's their descendants too. As long as they're sort of remaining in this interbreeding population that we would then measure by what their bones look like.
Yeah.
You know, so these things are all related to each other.
They kind of bleed into each other too. Like the morphological species concept is how we can tell. Like, is it similar enough that we can say that it's probably part of this lineage, or? Yeah.
And there's other species concepts too that I'm not going to get into. I mean, if you're dealing with bacteria, it's a whole other world. And I don't even remember what those ones are. But that's sort of how we think of it in paleontology. Is essentially, does this skeleton look enough like this skeleton to be the same species or not? And the line there can be a little bit arbitrary and subjective, right?
Definitely.
I mean,
there's a lot of arguments about that.
And paleontologists will argue endlessly about, you know, how similar these two specimens are and whether they're the same species or not. So that's some of the fun of paleontology and some of the frustration.
Definitely, yeah. We're often dealing with pretty limited information. So, like, the majority of dinosaurs, for instance, that have been named are usually known from one specimen, and it's usually a pretty incomplete specimen. Might just be a handful of bones. There are a number of dinosaurs that have been named based on a single bone. And so being able to tell whether or not this is the same species or member of the same lineage as another dinosaur that looks kind of similar can get pretty tricky. So, yeah. If you thought species concepts were, you know, if you thought defining a species was kind of confusing with modern critters, you know, imagine if all you've got are bones and only, you know, fragmentary remains at that. So yeah, it gets tricky. But the further away two different critters are, the easier it is to tell that they're different species, obviously. It's when they get more and more similar that those lines kind of blur. It gets trickier. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Karen. Yeah, and then you get ring species too, Charlie's Dragon. Yeah, we've talked about that on stream. Yeah. Do you have like a favorite example of a ring species, Karen?
I mean, the Encetina, the salamander in California.
Yeah, I was
Although
going to say similar.
I feel like I read somewhere that
Classic.
that's been debunked as a ring species. It's not
Really?
really. But I don't know. But I think it's still a good example in a general sense.
There's supposed to be some kind of sea star or something like that too that is a good example, but I don't remember the details. Yeah. And Nimrod says, are there any species you're aware of that have been named or hypothesized from things like tracks or eggs without any fossilized remains? Well, tracks and eggs are fossilized, but... Well, actually, are tracks fossilized?
They are fossils.
They are fossils,
Yeah.
but they are not body fossils.
Right. So yeah, I guess body fossils is the term that we're groping for there. But yeah. There's a whole, ichno-species, ichnotaxa, are critters that are named just based on traces, on footprints, on nests, on eggs, on various other traces that critters can leave. Bite marks on leaves if we're talking about, extinct insects and stuff. Yeah, but I don't know, when we're talking about ichnotaxa, is that really a name for the critter, or is that a name for the trace?
It's a name for the trace.
It's sort of like with footprints, like Gralator or Eubrontes. It's like, that's not really the name of the animal, that's the name of, like, the particular shape of the trace.
There's,
the
like, a
footprints that they
probable
leave.
T-Rex footprint from New Mexico, right?
Tyrannosauropus, is that it?
Exactly. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably T-Rex, but it can't be proved, so it gets its own ichnotaxon name.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Thanks, Ethan. Yeah. It's interesting that we don't have any proposed eggs, as far as I know, for tyrannosaurids or tyrannosauroids
Yeah, it is weird.
at all so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. We do not have any DNA left. There's never been any trace of DNA found in any Mesozoic dinosaur fossil. There have been like some fragments of things that may have used to have been DNA that have since degraded, but even that is extremely rare. DNA just doesn't seem to last that long. Tapir, it's It's a pretty fragile sort of molecule. I think the half-life for DNA is, what, like 1,000,000 years or something like that, or maybe less?
Yeah.
Probably way less than that, actually.
And it breaks down in water.
Yeah.
And what do you need to permineralize fossils?
Water, exactly.
Usually
yeah.
water. So,
Although Jim was saying in the chat yesterday that there are some dinosaur fossils that are just not permineralized. And I'm eager to hear more about that when he gets here.
I mean, it makes sense. Like Morrison bone is incredibly heavy, right? And all the
all that uranium.
space is like agatized or filled in.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you pick up a bone from the Hell Creek in some
But you
cases.
said that little
Uh-huh.
It just looks like a modern bone.
Yeah, and you, like, sometimes you're digging around and it just smells, like, fresh and organic. It's
Yeah.
like, ugh. But you get used to the smell after a while. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe it's a difference in degree rather than a difference in kind.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
Yeah, that should do it. Yeah, that's where we got it. Ours are probably right in between the big and the little.
And Miss Yvette, I've never heard of that malady in a dinosaur. Ulcerative pododermatitis? Let's see, Karen, you teach anatomy. Would you happen to know what that is? Ulcerative pododermatitis?
Pododermatitis? I mean, I haven't specifically heard of that, but if I parse it down,
Yeah, it sounds
means,
like something from a
ulcers in
pedal-
the skin of the feet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that specific thing, or in a dinosaur fossil.
I have heard of dinosaur trackways, like theropods with malformed digits that, you know,
Yeah, if it doesn't come with it.
almost like when you see a pigeon in the city that's got, like, you know, really messed up feet. Yeah, I don't know. And is that the word for a bone turning to rock or fossil? Mineralization? Yeah, mineralization or fossilization. Usually the term that we use is permineralization. It gets permineralized. So that's kind of the difference between a bone and a fossil bone. Is that some of the organic material in the bone gets replaced by, by inorganic minerals in the surrounding rock.
Yeah, if it's deep,
That's kind of how fossilization works. Grossly oversimplifying here, but, you know,
Yeah, that means they're just falling. Right?
that's the gist of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing just needs to be out like.
Yeah. Oh, and cool island song.
Hey, that's Doug. Right?
Hey, Doug, how you doing? Welcome, welcome.
What's up, Doug?
Yeah, how are you? Yeah.
Douglas. Dirty Doug.
Doug says permafrost or caves where it's cool and dry. Yeah, that's where you can get subfossils. So, like, things preserved for a long, long time without really being permineralized. Yeah.
What's the word, Don?
Oh, he was just a tool while.
Ah.
One over each kind of socket.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You need a nice. The thing is, you use a small socket, but then also need a small drive. And then some of them don't have a little extension to it, which will need, or he found a deep socket.
Nice.
Sounds like it should work. I think it's a millimeter.
Let's keep the receipt in case we need to return it.
Well, he'll need to reimburse first. That's where I'm going to charge this to the CLP. Central Air Media Project. I hear they're pretty flush now that the dinosaur got sold.
Not us. Just for clarity. Not us.
Who's getting it?
And
Who's getting the big donation from Jason?
anyway, it's good to see you here, Doug. If anybody's doesn't remember, Doug was on our crew in Wyoming Him and Edie, Doug's pooch, were star of the show on several streams, which is pretty cool. Anyway, it's good to see you, Doug. I hope you're doing well. Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel Fisher, you feel human?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, heck yeah. That's my first ever, probably.
You're fine. It's not a big deal. And Lagum Core says, do you switch between different brushes? Do they serve different functions? Yeah, yes indeed. This is called a whisk broom. So this is for when we're kind of above the bone layer, just like trying to move a bunch of material quickly like this. It's imprecise, it's rough. When we're down next to the bone, I've got this. This is Denver Fowler gave me this. A proper hogshair brush from real British hogs. Oh, I've been using this for years and years. I think I got this in like 2013. But yeah, so it's a much softer brush, and you can use this around the bone without worrying that you're actually going to damage anything. So different tools for different purposes. Good observation there.
Different pokes for different folks.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. So, switching tools. Break up some of this up here.
Right.
It's funny, Don, last week when I was back in my office doing streams, we watched the Utah's Dinosaur Graveyard documentary. Yeah, I saw you with your goatee and everything. And we were looking at some of the gear, and I'm like, do I recognize any of those same exact items that we're probably still using?
Yeah, I think like this brush.
Yeah.
With the stuff on it, yeah, that goes back to Crystal Geyser. I can't quite see what it is.
So that would have been the same, one of the same exact brushes that you probably would have seen on screen during that documentary, which would have been.
So it's don't something it.
Don't chunder it.
Something. I'm gonna have to. Here, let me put on the upper back. But I know there was one there was some kid who wrote all these things like llamas are awesome and things that one side was the brush of awesomeness and he had things on there that were awesome and then he had the brush of mediocrity and he had mediocre things on there or what he thought was. I just remember that llamas was on the awesome side.
You like llamas?
Don't something it. Can't quite read it.
Anyway.
Don't something brush it. Don't push it. Brush it. Anyways.
Don't rush it. Just brush it.
Yeah. There's certainly gear that's 20 years old.
Yeah. Again,
We're a frugal crew.
For sure.
But it still works.
It works.
Oh yeah.
I did love that conversation with Selena and Marino, though, where they're like answering each other's.
That was. I feel like the producers really played up the whole twins angle there. Had them finishing each other's sentences and stuff. Always had them on camera at the same time.
Epic that the guy who filmed that got heat exhaustion up there. And
He did?
then it turns out he had the wrong filters on, so they had to spend all kinds of money to like remaster the whole thing.
It did look a little strange.
Yeah.
It almost had like the Mexico filter on it, looked like.
Yeah, it had something, I guess it was almost unusable.
I mean, it made it look really
hot.
out there, yeah. It kind of expressed that idea pretty well.
It was hot, 'cause it got heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, of course, it was the first day for him, and we marched him from Crystal Geyser over to the Suarez site like at noon, and and I was working on something, and they're like, "Don, come quick! This guy's going down."
Shoot.
Took him down to camp and give him some ice and water, and
Yeah.
go him again.
How big of a film crew was there?
It was
at that time?
just this dude and his wife.
Really? Wow.
You're just carrying a lot of shit
Pretty
with
much
you,
just
I'm
him.
sure.
Yeah.
good for him. I mean,
It was like $150,000 or something, and then they weren't even going to do a show, and then they sent this one dude out who flew from Arizona to Denver, like rented the equipment, got in the car, drove out to us, and he was just there for that one day.
really?
Yeah,
Wow,
all
shoot.
shot in one day, and well, less than a day because he went down with heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
Then he came back on again. I think that part where Lindsay's under the tarps. and
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about that.
That was different.
But yeah, that was no, that was the same day, but that was after he recovered from the heat exhaustion.
Gotcha. That's impressive getting that amount of footage in just one day. Like,
Yeah.
he knew what he was doing except for the heat exhaustion part.
takes 2 weeks to get that much.
Yeah. I'm still a little salty about that I couldn't be out there because of that exclusive contract. Josh Lively was telling me that, like, nobody was even allowed to take pictures. There was, like, a total digital media moratorium. I'm sure people still took pictures,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
like,
I have a question.
It's not
Yeah.
much.
anyway.
I'm gonna make a G run. Does anyone need anything?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
What was he asking?
I said
Do
I'm
you
gonna
need
make a G
anything
run.
from
Does
camp?
anybody need anything?
No, I think we're good. 'Cause we actually have some ice water too. If anyone
We
needs
do.
Yeah.
People are getting hot. We got.
Here, I
ice
should
water.
drink some more water as well.
I'll be right back.
Cool. Enjoy the AC.
I'm walking. Stretch the old legs.
Enjoy
Well,
thinking
then
about
we'll
AC.
see you back in camp.
Utah's dinosaur. Classic.
That's a really charming little documentary. Like it,
Yeah, I thought they did.
very well produced. Yeah.
I haven't seen that in 15 years probably.
Yeah, it's on YouTube now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah.
So I think Dirty Jobs, you got to pay $2 or something to watch.
Yeah, I've still never seen it. Yeah. I need to do that. I guess I can't watch it on the
But
screen.
you had to pay a little bit. I'm not even sure. I assume it's got to be available somewhere.
Probably. It's Discovery Channel, wasn't it?
It was Discovery
Which I
Channel.
think is owned by... shoot. Is it Disney or Fox? No, I think they're the same thing now.
Discovery Plus.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I have a
Yeah.
DVD of it
Like
somewhere.
yeah.
If we can find
If you can
a way to play
find a
that.
DVD player.
Yeah.
That's not a DVD player.
Oh, Paleo Mom. Hello, Mom. How are you doing? Welcome. It's good to have you here. You'll be pleased to know, I hope, that I'm alive and well, and things are going really well here. Check out this this iguanodont humerus here. So, lovely upper arm bone from this early Cretaceous herbivorous dinosaur. So there's the end of it right there. So that's like the proximal end, so that's where it attaches to the shoulder right here. And then this is the distal end. So I take it probably a left humerus. Deltal pectoral crest right there. There's the midshaft. Yeah. So just kind of working around this. And with any luck, I'll be able to jacket it and get it out tomorrow? I don't know. What do you think, Don? Is that too ambitious?
Ooh, that might be a little ambitious, but
Yeah.
it depends on how much we can move around it.
Yeah. I'm working on cutting this down around the sides.
Probably get close, at least half probably.
Yeah. And it's an iguanodont. So an iguanodont. So it's a member of the same family as iguanodon, or same broad group, I should say. But it's about 20 million years older than iguanodon. You know, iguanodon burnus hartensis, or Mantellosaurus, which is like the original iguanodon.
I've heard much from Andrew McDonald lately.
So yeah, but it's going to be, we think, a new species. That's why we're so excited about this, and why we keep coming back year after year to get more bones of it. It's going to be pretty scientifically important. That's why we're here.
No, fairly well.
Do you think we'll run out of discoveries? No. That's the thing about paleontology. including dinosaur paleontology, is that we always run out of funding and time before we run out of things to dig up. In this particular spot right here, this valley that we're working in, I don't know, Jim can tell you all about this when he gets here. He can wax lyrical about all of this, but just in this little valley right here, there are so many different sites producing so many different dinosaurs. You know, to hear Jim say it, you could have 100 crews working here every summer for 1,000 years and still not find everything. And that's just in this one valley. You know, just in this little corner of Utah. So there's so much out here. It's just finding money and personnel to do this kind of thing is tricky. So we're really lucky that we get to come back year after year here. Yeah, and we really kind of pinch every penny to make sure that we can do that. But yeah, it'll be a long... Humans will be extinct before all the, before every dinosaur gets discovered. Has anyone tried to formally estimate the number of expected recoverable fossils in a particular region? Yeah, and it's always kind of an exercise in futility. I read a paper about that where they're using GIS to look at an area, I think of the Two Medicine Formation in northern Montana, and they just had like wildly different estimates for how many different fossils might be recoverable in that area. It was, I don't know. Estimates aren't really worth much. It's just a lot, At any rate, the limiting factor there is going to be funding. It's not going to be fossils, Yeah. And Chimera's We says, may I ask, what does a season cost to dig where you are now for your team? I don't know how specific I can get, but...
I mean, if we get enough volunteers, it doesn't cost much at all.
Yeah. I'm going to say more than $100 and less than $1,000. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, we'll spend over $1,000 on food, probably.
We will? Okay, that much.
Oh, yeah, I spent over $600 on the first Costco run.
Okay.
So,
I guess food is pretty expensive now, too, as opposed to 2 years ago.
I mean, it's mainly just that Jim and Ethan and I are getting our salaries and per diems. And
yeah. But basically...
we're the most expensive part.
Most of the gear has been purchased years and years ago.
Yeah. We got a few new tarps.
Yeah.
Exciting new toggle balls.
Yeah. New socket set today, apparently.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's... I don't know, compare this to... like when I talk with Balint from Science Streams, working in a genetics lab, he's like, yeah, just one routine experiment, like one sequencing run or something like that might cost $50,000. And you might need to do, I don't know how many of those for a decent paper to publish. If we had $50,000, imagine what we could do out here. Yeah. Yeah. And Alexander Morrison, food, water, and fuel costs are the most expensive. Well, I mean the
vehicles, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we got to rent them from the motor pool. So we get a daily rate and then a mileage thing. So yeah, that's one, and that's why we try to keep the trips to Salt Lake at a minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time the vehicles are just sitting out here and we're not using much fuel.
Or do they charge you by mile? I missed that.
Yeah, so we'll get charged like a certain amount per.
Water's not really much of an
Pretty much free.
Yeah, we're for nothing basically.
Yeah, we're not fancy. We don't drink bottled water.
Yeah. Well, luckily there's a place nearby where we can get water for free. So that's excellent. We go through a lot of water out here, as you might imagine. This is not just water for drinking.
His nightly bath. So.
There you go. You got to drain and refill the hot tub every
Fill in
day.
that kiddie pool every day.
And we use water for drinking, for cooking, for doing dishes, and then water for plaster as well when we're making our plaster jackets, our field jackets, to get these bones safely back to the laboratory.
Just there, so you might come up and take a bucket shower.
And HD says that pale blue sky and teeny puffy clouds look fake. I assure you they're not. They're very much real.
They are quite real.
I sometimes wish the clouds were bigger, yeah.
We got green screen going here. They're nice. They do almost.
This is what...
They're beautiful puffy western clouds.
Yep.
They look like they're sitting on a plate of glass.
Or eastern clouds, from my perspective.
That's right.
People in Wyoming get mad when you say, "Oh yeah, I love coming out east here," you know.
That's funny.
But you know, when you're from California, yeah.
For me, west meant west of the Hudson. Coming out west to Buffalo.
Messavet says the clouds look like Toy Story wallpaper. Yeah, I guess so, huh? But there's a reason why that's kind of an iconic image, though. It's associated with the American West. And this is like the second or third year I've brought my clouds book out, and I haven't even looked at it yet. It's like that field guide to clouds, and you're supposed to like collect them by taking pictures, and it was a popular thing around like 2011, I want to say. But we get all kinds of really cool clouds out here that you don't necessarily get in other parts of the world. Like the diversity of cloud morphotypes is definitely high out here in the high desert.
Of course, you can see them all too.
Well, and yeah.
Yeah.
You're not in them all the time like that.
Right.
There's no trees in the way.
I came out to Utah as like a field trip when I was an undergrad, and we were coming from Pennsylvania, and like people like couldn't believe the clouds, and Virga like got them, like we saw, so out here you can see rain from a distance, and and when it doesn't always hit the ground, sometimes it's called Virga, so you just see these streaks coming down from a cloud,
it just
and
kind
it's
of
rain
evaporates.
falling down, but it evaporates before it hits the ground. And everyone was going, what? And I think in this case it wasn't actually Virga. It was like you could just see the rain coming all the way down.
Uh-huh.
And everyone was like, what is that? And I was just like, it's rain. And they're like, no, you can't see rain like that from a distance. And then we drove into it and it was rain. And everyone got real quiet. And I was just like,
That's really
it's
funny.
rain.
Yeah.
You can't see it like that on the East Coast.
I remember my first field season in Montana, being able to just watch a rain cloud go by. And like, I don't know, back home in the Bay Area, it's like, if it's going to rain that day, it's going to rain that day.
It's going to rain all day.
It just
And
rains
that's it.
everywhere,
It's raining.
you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's a rainy day. And here it's just like, there's just one cloud moving across the landscape, you know, like a lost B-52 bomber. It's just like dropping this big payload of rain, and then it just goes away. It's just, I don't know. It was an unfamiliar thing to me back then.
Yeah.
Crazy, there's like these mud levels. The water just went all the way down.
Yeah.
Like modern mud. On top of it.
And Claire McDonough says, I'm enjoying this so far. It's very interesting learning about dinosaurs. Well, I'm glad. Shoot, it's good to have you here. Let me know if you've got any questions. And we do have a couple of real movers and shakers in the world of dinosaur paleontology here, just, in case you're not aware. Dr. Karen Poole works on iguanodontian dinosaurs, and was an author on... Oh shoot,
Ayuku.
Ayuku, thank you. Which is a dinosaur that we covered live on stream probably last December is when I got to it, when I did like the big yearly wrap-up. But it's from South Africa, Dryasaurid?
Yes.
Nice,
Yes.
yeah. And Don DeBlue is the discoverer of Diabloceratops, among some other dinosaurs too, including Iguana colossus. So, yeah. So you are in the company of some dinosaur royalty here, you could say.
Well, landed gentry. Let's not go.
Landed gentry, okay, fair. Some dinosaurian nobility. How's that?
There we go.
Yeah, not up in the palace level.
No.
And Iguanodont, yeah, HD. Yeah. Yeah, Pteranodon, Iguanodon, yeah. Pteranodon, wings with no teeth. Iguanodon definitely had teeth, though. So far, I don't think we have any toothless iguanodonts, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to think about it and double check, but no.
Yeah.
They got teeth. They like their teeth.
Yeah. Should we be toothless mammals, Fisher?
We have a lot of toothless mammals.
Yeah, a lot of odontocetes actually have no teeth anymore, right?
Yeah, the Xiphiids are mostly toothless except for in males. They'll have,
Yeah. Those are beaked whales,
yeah.
Chad. Yeah.
Of course, we have anteaters and pangolins.
Oh, are anteaters totally edentate
Yes.
now?
Yep.
Hence edentata?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Armadillos still have some teeth. Aardvarks still have some teeth. Let's see. What else is
Don't,
toothless?
There's some paleo platypuses that had
Yeah.
teeth don't.
Durodon has teeth,
Yeah.
but no modern monotremes
Yeah.
has teeth. So both the platypus and all the
Oh,
species
yeah, and
within
echidnas,
the
yeah.
lack teeth entirely.
Yeah, good call. I wasn't even thinking about echidnas.
Do all bats still have teeth?
Yes, I believe so.
Even the ones that eat nectar?
Yeah.
Interesting. No toothless bats. Yeah. And Tapir says, can you see how much spread out bones from a dinosaur are? Like if you find one, is it likely that there are others in the close vicinity, or could they be wherever? Great question. We had a rule where I was trained at Museum of the Rockies that if you have 3 bones close by, you have a site, and you should dig in further. And then when you're digging in, you're finding bones, you're mapping them, you're jacketing them, and you're pulling them out, collecting them. You should dig 1 meter beyond the last bone, just to make sure that there's nothing else there. So if you find your last bone and then you dig 1 meter out in all directions, you don't find anything else, then you can close out the site. That was our general rule. But yeah. And it's kind of arbitrary. 3 bones makes a site is, just 1 bone can be really important, I guess. But generally, if there's fewer than 3 bones, unless it's something that seems immediately really important, we wouldn't really bother to collect it. There's other more important things that are more worth our time. Does that make sense? Yeah.
How many does it take to have a bone dead?
Oh. I would always just say more than 1 individual.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an MNI of 2, I guess. Yeah. MNI's minimum number of individuals, chat. Yeah. And Hodab says, first time chatter here. Well, welcome. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. And Foxy Fool says, are there any herbivorous dinosaurs that could chew?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, including this guy. Yeah. Yeah, so Karen works on a group of dinosaurs that they were very good at chewing. Chewing was their thing.
Chewing was their jam.
Yeah.
They liked it so much that they kept making more and more teeth.
Yeah. Shoot, I wish I had a diagram of the... like a cross-sectional view of an iguanodon.
Oh, their teeth? I can kind of do it with my hands.
Yeah.
Here, I can come a little closer.
Move the camera, too, for a better view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
And here, let me grab a visual aid, too, just so we can talk about what kind of dinosaur this is.
Yeah. So when we're talking about all iguanodontians, there we go. So what is this guy here? Bernasartensis?
Yeah.
So there's Iguanodon bernasartensis. And when we're talking about this guy and like the whole group around it, and in this case I'm including all the way through hadrosaurids, those duck-billed dinosaurs. So things like Parasaurolophus with that big old crest, and the less elaborate things like Edmontosaurus. But all this, what I'm going to say here, applies to all of these guys.
I think I've got a phylogeny here. Yeah, it might be on the other side of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a whole big dinosaur phylogeny. I'm not sure it
doesn't really have...
a lot.
It leaves out the iguanodonts, though.
Yeah,
womp womp.
It's just, well, yeah. So, but
Parasaurolophus.
But these guys, there's Parasaurolophus.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at them, if we look at just sort of what I'm going to demonstrate here is sort of one side of their jaw only, right? Let's see.
So
do it on this side.
You've got the snout right here, and we're going like that. You're seeing a cross section.
And I'm just going to kind of show you the left side. So the teeth on their lower jaw are kind of curved like this, and they've got a flat surface here. And the teeth on the upper jaw are curved like this, and they've got a flat surface over here. And those flat surfaces come together.
Almost like this, yeah.
Almost like scissors, right? Like a scissor blade. And the way that the teeth wear down, they're basically self-sharpening. Right? So they've got more enamel on that kind of outer side of the curve, which is sort of the harder part of the tooth. And then, so this other side is a little softer and it wears faster. So you end up with this sort of self-sharpening system. And the ceratopsians actually have a pretty similar setup. So that's things like Triceratops and all those other horned dinosaurs. So both those and hadrosaurs and all iguanodontians like have this sort of like scissor-like motion. And then like...
Probably a really efficient way to chew.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and then the actual mechanics of that and sort of like how their jaws are curved and stuff gets a little bit more complicated. But yeah, my colleague Ali Nabavizadeh does a lot of work on that stuff, kind of looking at, were their jaws kind of like flexing a lot, and kind of like how was like the curvature of that. There, so it gets more complicated. But at a very simple basis, they have this sort of scissor-like like motion with their jaw, or the scissor-like setup of their teeth.
Kind of different from like us as humans, where our teeth just kind of go like that.
Yeah, and kind of just like grind. And we and we have a lot of jaw motion too, like kind of side to side, and so you get this like grinding kind of thing. But they have this sort of more slicing-like motion,
right? Yeah.
Which is great for chopping up just like super tough vegetation, like chopping it into little bits before you swallow it. Yeah.
Was Ali one of the authors on that dinosaur feeding biology book?
Well, I'm trying to. He was like the main author on a book. I think that's what it was called.
I've got it back in my tent. I should bring it to
somewhere.
camp.
I think that is the title of it.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should have remembered that yesterday when I was trying to recommend books.
That's a good one.
It's an excellent one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now there was also a cool paper that I was reading the other day about Leptoceratops jaw mechanics, and the idea was that they have almost like a mammalian kind of motion to their jaws, where their jaws are like moving forward and backward. Yeah,
and I think that's a lot of the stuff Ali was looking at. And like I said, it's it's more complex than just like a set of scissors, but that's the basic tooth setup anyway. Yeah. And then like I said, and then there's a lot of larger things around sort of how the jaws move and the ways in which they're, are they kind of moving that lower jaw forward and back, or does it kind of flex like this as you chew, or are you going forward and backward? Yeah. So there's still a lot to learn about exactly how all this worked. But,
definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely could chew. These guys are basically just chewing machines. That's what they did. They chewed.
Probably pretty low quality plant material too, so they're just chewing a lot.
Yeah, so they're just like chewing all day, like cows.
Yeah. That's really neat because like, I don't know, I remember reading some old book on dinosaurs from like the 50s or something, and there's this idea like, oh, dinosaurs didn't really chew their food. They're much more, primitive than and inferior to mammals in this regard. Mammal teeth are, just sheer works of wonder, and dinosaur teeth are crude and unsophisticated, and it turns out that's not really true. I don't know. Mammals do go, crazy with their teeth. But dinosaurs had fairly complex, jaw structures, chewing mechanics, stuff like that too. Certain dinosaurs did. A lot of other dinosaurs did not chew their food.
Yeah, meat-eating dinosaurs are boring, guys. Their teeth are simple.
Nobody likes meat-eating dinosaurs.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, like your big sauropod dinosaurs, your four-legged plant-eating dinosaurs, none of them chewed their food. Their teeth are just there for biting, for cropping the vegetation, and then all the digestion would happen in their guts. Which is a really efficient way of feeding in a certain... If you think about it in a certain way, they can eat really quickly. They can ingest a ton of plant material very fast. They don't have to stop and chew it. But, yeah. I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. Different feeding strategies for different ecologies and different groups.
Different feeds for different needs.
Yeah. There you go, yeah. So they don't pull the grass to eat it, they cut it, says one ugly monkey. They didn't actually eat grass. Grass didn't evolve until until pretty much after the age of dinosaurs did grasses really spread out. Oh, and hello, thank you, Raiders, welcome. 115 Raiders from GN Marley. How are you doing? It is great to have you here. Welcome to Paleontologizing. We are digging in the quarry right now. We're digging up what seems to be, from every indication, a new species, or maybe even a new genus of iguanodont dinosaur. So a dinosaur not too different from this one right here. This is iguanodon from about 20 million years after our guy, or gal. Or guys or gals. There's multiple individuals in this quarry. And we're out here near the town of Moab, Utah, digging them up. So it's great to have you here, Raiders. Welcome. If anybody's here for the first time, my name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. So I work on dinosaurs, I study them, I publish on them in the scientific literature. And during the summers, I dig them up. Here with a crew from the Utah Geological Survey. Yeah, and let me know if you've got any questions. And why do they need such rugged teeth? Because plant material is tough. Have you ever tried to eat a pine tree,
Yeah, go so well.
Didn't enjoy that.
Got all sticky and
Yeah. Well, they don't have Christmas tree recycling in your neighborhood, so you just have to...
Tastes like Christmas, right?
had to gargle with turpentine to get all that sap out.
Yeah. Big Snipes Entertainment says Dino Recovery. Let's go. Yeah, recovery, collection, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, dinosaur resurrection. Let's say that.
No, let's maybe not do that.
That was the third.
Metaphorically
part,
speaking.
That was the third part of the trilogy, right? Battle for the dinosaurs.
Oh, somebody emptied my bucket. Thank you, whoever did that.
I think it was one of the Raiders.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah. No, thank you, Don, if that was you. Yeah. Their jaws only moved up and down, right? Is there a reason? So their jaws probably moved forward and backward a little bit, too. It depends on which particular species of dinosaur we're talking about. Like I said, there was a cool paper, I forget who wrote it, talking about leptoceratops and how their jaws also moved forward and backward, too. Yeah. So, I don't know, you gotta recognize dinosaurs are a really diverse group of animals. Lots of different body plans, different shapes and sizes, different ecologies. They're a pretty diverse group, at least in terms of like morphology. Here, I'll bring that phylogeny out again. So, if we're looking at like a basic family tree of dinosaurs, ignore everything underneath here, you know. Dinosaurs begin right there. So, the groups that could chew are ceratopsians. I don't know about pachycephalosaurs. They've got kind of simple leaf-shaped teeth, but your iguanodontians, including your duck-billed dinosaurs, hadrosaurs, they could chew. Is there any indication that any thyreophorans could chew? Or are they just using their teeth basically for like slicing?
I think they do have like wear facets a little bit, so I
Yeah.
think they were chewing at least a bit.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, your ankylosaurs and stegosaurs, armored dinosaurs over here, they may have been chewing a bit as well. But yeah, if you're a meat-eating animal, generally you're not chewing, at least if you're a dinosaur. Just gulp stuff down whole after, I guess, slicing it up, tearing off chunks, that kind of thing. But, yeah, they're not really in the business of chewing. New Original wants to know, wouldn't a resurrected dinosaur suffocate because of the lack of oxygen in the present atmosphere? No. I don't know where this idea came from that, like, there was so much more oxygen during the age of dinosaurs. You know, I should preface this by saying the age of dinosaurs is really long. Dinosaurs were around for over 170 million years, and Earth's atmosphere, I'm sure, changed somewhat in its composition during that time. It would have had elevated carbon and elevated oxygen at certain times, but, you know, the climate certainly changed a lot throughout that 170 million year span. But it's not like oxygen levels were twice as high during the age of dinosaurs or anything like that. If anything, I think oxygen levels may have been a bit lower on average during the Mesozoic. You know, I think atmospheric CO2, carbon dioxide, would have been generally higher, I think. Global temperatures were certainly higher during most parts of the Mesozoic than they are today. Would have a lot less ice on Earth. Kind of a, you know, greenhouse Earth kind of thing going on. So yeah, it certainly wasn't elevated oxygen levels that allowed dinosaurs to grow super large, like your biggest sauropods and stuff. That's just, you know, sheer dinosaurian grit and, like, unique, cool adaptations that they had. You know, pneumatized vertebrae, avian respiratory system, like, really efficient feeding mechanisms, that sort of thing. There's a really cool paper about that, about like the, what do they call it, the, I think, trophic cascade model for sauropod gigantism. It's like a combination of, like, not chewing your food so you can ingest massive quantities of vegetation very quickly. Elevated metabolism, air-filled vertebrae, and air sacs and hollows in your bones. System of, like, air sacs throughout the body like modern birds have. Like, very, very fast growth, and also the idea that they hatched out of little tiny eggs. So even the biggest sauropod dinosaurs would have hatched out of an egg, you know, smaller than like a soccer ball, most likely. You know, the biggest biggest animals to ever walk the earth, they started off no bigger than this. So rather than, like, spending all of these resources and, like, weighing down your body with all of this extra weight from, like, a giant fetus inside, instead you've just got these little eggs like this. And you yourself, like your own body, can grow really, really, really large without that extra burden. It's a cool paper. I think it was... I forget. I've got a link to it in one of the commands here. There we go. Oh, Evolutionary Cascade Model for Sauropod Dinosaur Gigantism by Martin Sander. Yeah, so I don't know if you can read that, but there's a nifty little graphic there showing all these different factors that kind of feed into one another. High growth rate, high body mass, avian-style lungs, small head, long neck, fast food uptake, fast population recovery from having like lots and lots of little eggs, that kind of thing. Yeah, neat stuff. Yeah. Oh, and Lenina, these rocks are about 140 million years old. You'll hear all about this when Jim gets here. He's gonna wax poetic about the lower yellowcat member of the Cedar Mountain Formation. These are some of the oldest Cretaceous rocks in North America, if not in the western or northern hemisphere. Block of rock that's been reworked. That's from the surface, probably somewhere up there. And it's just in this unconsolidated crud up here.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, you're so good.
That's the most popular seating position when working. I don't know, we could take a survey. Kneeling. Half kneeling? What's Fisher doing?
Kneeling, half kneeling, whatever this is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
There's really no good ones that turn out.
Yeah.
I like the semi-recline.
Yeah.
It's hard to...
We shift position a lot in here. It's, you know.
Yeah, none of them are comfy.
Oh, this is the first crew I've ever worked on where we've had pillows to sit on. And it is downright luxurious.
It is better than the little like garden mealy pads.
Yeah. And Denver Fowler always called those butt pads.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like you don't really put your butt. I guess you can put your butt on them, but yeah. Lots of different terms for things that were, I don't know, like a Jacob staff was a Stratomaster.
Who calls it a Stratomaster? That's a so much cooler name.
Yeah, Denver calls it that, yeah.
Stratomaster? Is that a British thing or just Denver's thing?
I think that was just Denver's thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and he made his own too. So
Okay.
he would make it with a PVC pipe and electrical tape, and
Okay.
yeah, he was very proud of that.
Ontogeny.
I don't know.
It is a cool name, right? I don't know why we call it a Jacob staff. Who was Jacob and...
Which Jacob are we talking about?
Yeah.
A biblical Jacob.
Probably.
Oh, is it like Jacob's ladder?
Jacob's ladder.
Not about measuring strata.
A Fender Stratomaster. Yeah, there you go, HD. Here, I'm going to look up Jacob's staff here.
Jimi Hendrix played it.
Yeah, and he would smash it on the upright.
Light it on fire.
Do calculations with his teeth.
Okay, so there's different Jacob staffs for different fields of study. They've got one in astronomy, too, that's totally different.
That's helpful and not
And he
confusing.
like graduated.
Yeah. This one used in construction. In surveying, geology.
That's true. Those people have all the knowledge of all humans at their fingertips.
Origin of the name of the instrument is not certain. Some refer to the biblical patriarch Jacob, may also take its name after its resemblance to Orion, referred to by the name of Jacob in some medieval star charts. Another possible source is the pilgrim staff, the symbol of St. James, Jacobus in Latin. Huh. Okay. So nobody knows. Great. Yeah, thank you, Murph. Yeah, Murph was posting that at the same time that we were looking at it. Yeah.
Pouring into a cliff again.
We'll have to remove the cliff too.
You bring the cliff down from the top, dude, not from the side. Yeah, we need to move the cliff.
Let's see. What has been the progress of day 3? Well, I'm still working on this lovely limb bone here. We are certain now that this is a humerus. And we've got multiple other bones going on over there. And yesterday, that whole shelf didn't really exist at this point. Or we were kind of working on making that. We did a lot of overburden yesterday morning. So now we are reaping the fruits of our labor. And Fisher, Ethan, Don, and Karen are all digging off in that direction. After having done some overburden, they removed some of this overlying crud that we don't need to get down to the bone layer. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is the...
Anywho, I'm doing my best to work and talk at the same time.
Yeah, it's all going that way.
Yeah, so the bone layer should be well below this, right? Your bones are down here.
Let's see, and Foxy Full wants to know
This is my bone here.
what goes into like discovering a site like this. How is that? Oh, and this is neat. I just pulled this pebble out of here. It was embedded in the Cretaceous mud. Jim was saying in chat yesterday that these pebbles date back to the Carboniferous period. So like 300 million years ago. So these would have already been, you know, between 60 and 100 million years old when these dinosaurs were walking around, which is cool. This would have been an ancient pebble in the time that these guys were alive. If it is from the Carboniferous. Anyway, but how do you establish a site like this in the first place? So Jim and Don and a few other people were exploring out here in this valley about 20 years ago. They'd heard rumors that there were bones in this area. They'd heard rumors that it was Morrison Formation, which could have been, you know, could have been mislabeled as Morrison when it was instead Cedar Mountain Formation. So Jim wanted to come out here and investigate, and it turned out to be Cedar Mountain Formation. So he and Don and a few other people were prospecting, walking around looking for bones around kind of the rim of the valley. Some of those raised surfaces up there. You know, like up there. Because typically that's where we find stuff. Because, you know, the rock is kind of jutting up. You don't typically find it on the valley floor. But they were walking around the valley floor and started to find bone. And there have been, I don't know how many different sites in this valley so far. And this is just our current one that we're working. But this whole valley is just littered with little bits of dinosaur bone coming out. Like, there are really extensive bone beds here. Just, you know, accumulations of all these different dinosaur bones. It's a really, really rich area. And hopefully someday this land will be protected. Like, this could be a national monument someday. It's certainly worthy of that. It's a matter of political will to make that happen.
Is
oh yeah.
Is your scoop to your right? This is mine. Yeah. Okay, cool. I just couldn't see it. Someone's still yours.
Yeah. And probably reworked stream gravel. That's exactly what it is, Neverwinter. I think that's right. That pebble in there. Yeah. And Karazosh says, do you think a giant tsunami created this bone bed? No. So it's pretty clear this is mudstone here, which tends to be from like a really low energy environment. So just, you know, a swamp or a bog or maybe an oxbow lake or something like that. Kind of non-flowing still water is where you get mudstone like this that forms. Tsunami deposits look very different from this. Jim can tell you all about that when he gets here because he's worked in tsunami deposits before. I'm not sure exactly what the kind of lithological signature would be for tsunami deposit. Does anybody know off the top of their head what you would expect
deposits?
to see in like tsunami deposits?
I mean, they're like
Terrible sorting.
Yeah.
terrible sorting, just
Much
like
larger.
All
different
kinds of really
size,
weird shaped and sized things all jumbled together. Yeah.
yeah.
Almost like a
mud in the matrix, right? Like,
almost like a really thin conglomerate, I guess, where it's just like lots of in between and then like big weird class and middle class, and is it kind of like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like
All
turned
mixed
up,
up, yeah.
they're turned up junk
Yeah.
of all sizes. And
This is very much not like that. This is get a few pebbles here and there, but
Oh, yeah.
this is a super low energy environment. You don't have like massive amounts of energy just tossing stuff around. It's just
is that thunder?
oh yeah.
It's a ways away.
And that's all over there. I heard some distant thunder. Yeah. And the tsunami deposit sounds like a mixed up mess. Yes, indeed, OG Rule, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I'm gonna tell you how he's the one who discovered the first one.
Yeah. How he lost one of his knees doing, discovering the KPG tsunami deposits along the Brazos River, I think?
Brazos River in Texas, yeah.
Yeah.
And he got hit.
Yeah, he wasn't given credit for the discovery.
Not even acknowledged.
Yeah.
Jim's version.
And is the Tanis site considered a tsunami deposit? I think that's still kind of up for debate. Awkward Cyborg, yeah. There's seems to be some fishy stuff going on with that, and I'm not just talking about the paddlefish fossils. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. And Amanda Jan says, hi, Foxy Full recommended this channel to me. I love history and paleontology. Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Paleontologizing. And welcome to the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation of Utah. We are still pretty early on in our season here. This is only day 3 of digging. We've already got some lovely bones, including this lovely humerus right here that I'm trying to clear some of the rock away from so that we can hopefully get this out pretty soon. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. It'd be nice to be able to run into another bone first, so at least we've got another bone to look at. And Valerian Hunter says, I watched a documentary years ago about Sue the T-Rex and how hard of a fight it was. Do you have thoughts on that? Yeah. So, we as dinosaur paleontologists have a, let's say, complicated relationship with Sue and that whole saga. So it was a commercial group that dug up Sue. And they were digging on, I guess, leased federal land?
Correct.
Yeah, and they either didn't know it was federal or didn't care, or I don't know. I'm not gonna, like, say exactly what they knew or what their motives were. But that's why there was a big legal battle of it, is it wasn't theirs to collect in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. I'll say this. We're out here digging fossils on public land for the benefit of the public, for scientific purposes. Not to sell, not for fortune and glory, but for science. And that's what brings us out here. Anytime you start selling things, stuff gets weird. Yeah. And who technically owns the land you're on now? Well, Philae, if you're an American citizen, then you do. We all do. This is public land.
Dig out there.
Yeah, so this is BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, federal land. So it belongs to we, the people of the United States. So it's publicly accessible. Like, anybody can come out here and camp if they want to. They can hike. They can basically do everything except for collect vertebrate fossils or archaeological artifacts and stuff like that. That stuff is protected because it's part of our collective natural heritage. Fossils are part of, our heritage as Americans. They show what our nation was like long before it existed, I guess. It's something that belongs to all of us collectively, rather than to like any individual person on their own. And so as a result, these fossils need to end up in a museum. So everything that we collect here is going to be reposited, is going to be permanently stored and cared for and looked after at NHMU, the Natural History Museum of Utah in Salt Lake City. So that means long after I'm dead, all of these fossils will be there safe and sound in the collections for future generations of paleontologists to study. Maybe these are going to go on display. Maybe some of them will be enjoyed by, school kids on field trips and by people who go to the museum on the weekend, all that stuff, The important thing is that these fossils are going to be there, available for scientific study and for public enjoyment for as long as there is a museum, For as long as our society lasts, these will be there. It's cool to be part of a process like this. It's like, this is not for individual gain. It's for the benefit of science, What's the difference between federal land and federally protected land? Sounds like the same thing to me. Yeah. There are different levels of protection, I guess. There are national parks, where there's different rules that apply. There are, national forest land, and of course there's state land, which is administered by, individual U.S. states. BLM land, Bureau of Land Management land, a lot of this is like land that wasn't scooped up by settlers and people like that during like the Wild West days. It was kind of land that nobody really wanted at the time. And so it just kind of by default became federal land that was protected and looked after by the Department of the Interior, a federal agency. So as a result, a lot of this is like, a lot of beautiful badlands, areas that are not great for farming, not really great for ranching. There's not a lot of vegetation out here. It's just, beautiful bare rock like this. The perfect kind of environment for finding fossils. So, I'm pretty lucky that that's the case. I've dug on private land before too, which can be lovely if the landowners are really cool and if they want to, give us permission to dig on their land and bring all the fossils back to a museum and have them be reposited in a museum. But, like with any kind of private ownership, things can get weird and complicated. So, you know, public land it's kind of our bread and butter as paleontologists. Yeah. And Tone Rebellion. Oh man, this is a great question for Jim later. I heard that in the early Cretaceous, North America had a dinosaur fauna resembling that of Europe, including iguanodontians. But later it was replaced by more or less Asian fauna. Is that true? Yeah, pretty much. Again, ask that question when Jim is here, and he'll tell you all about it. A lot of that understanding came from Jim and colleagues doing work here in the Cedar Mountain Formation.
Yeah, this time we're connected to Europe, but not to Alaska. Hadn't formed yet, so
Right.
you could get to Asia, but you had to go the long way through Europe.
So, yeah, so we see all these different ties to
Then we lose.
kind of European faunas, like a very European style dinosaur fauna, almost like the Wessex Formation, like the Wealden group, like England and the Isle of Wight. Similar kind of dinosaurs there that you have here at this time. Maybe because they came over from Europe. Something happened at the end of the Jurassic, and that like classic Morrison dinosaur fauna got mostly wiped out, it seems. And Jim will tell you much more about that. I feel like that's the major theme in today's stream. It's like, oh yeah, wait till Jim gets here. He'll tell you all about it. But maybe he'll tell you about the possible asteroid or meteorite impact that may have caused the end Jurassic extinction event. The Jim Morrison fauna, exactly, Dianwang. Yeah. The last hit of the Jim Morrison Formation, the end. Gotta break on through to the other side. Exactly, Neverwinter, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Jim's getting here tonight, so we'll do a stream with him tomorrow, I think. Love that we're getting weekend streams too. You bet, Lenina, yeah. You know, we don't really have weekends out here in the field. Like, Friday is the same as Saturday, Sunday is the same as Monday. You know, we've got limited time to work out here, so we try and make the most of every day. And as long as I'm not too obnoxious or too annoying, you know, I get to stream from the quarry, which is awesome. The days do blend together, it's true. Alexander Morrison, yeah. I'm gonna drink some water.
cracked right now. I wonder it's not. Corner.
And Hugh wants to know, are Nick and Ian with you again? Not sure who Ian is, but if you mean Nick from Pittsburgh, no, I think he's on another crew right now.
Yeah, he's in the Hell Creek, I think.
Yeah, he's working with Thomas Carr out in near Ekalaka, Montana. Maybe digging up some tyrannosaurs or something. And Seisnick says the meticulousness, is that a word? Of what these digs, of what it takes on these digs just astounds me. Yeah, it's
meticulousness.
Yeah, meticulousness. Meticulosity.
Meticulous and messy all at the same time.
Sweet gold chaos.
The more you sweet, the more you have to sweet.
But yeah, you know, it's precise work. We got to make sure that we're always checking. As every time I go through here with this little tool that I've got, you know, we're being really careful. Any hint of bone digging through here, I'm ready to immediately stop. If I see something start to poke out. What's that?
Then we call someone qualified when we find something. Take it.
That's us.
Speaking of someone qualified, Don, how often, as a state paleontologist here, how often do you get called out when someone finds what they think could be an important fossil on state land?
Not that often.
Yeah?
But we have a lot of people coming in with things they think are fossils, or sending us emails saying they have fossils. Of course, you know, people think they're going to get rich when they find something, but a lot of times they're not. Find a lot of eggs.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many times do people bring in river rocks and go, oh, I found a dinosaur egg?
And then a lot of meteor wrongs.
Meteor wrongs.
The occasional meteorite, but most of But I mean, I think the UGS probably gets a public inquiry or two every day about something. Sometimes they really are fossils. And then occasionally they do lead to something good. Fairly rare.
Are there any notable sites you can think of that were...
Those tracks were cool.
Oh yeah,
Things you thought were tapirs.
yeah. There was a stone quarry down in central Utah where they were quarrying out of the Green River Formation. And we got a call. Well, somebody reported it, I think, to Snow College, which is down there in eastern Utah, and they thought they found dinosaur tracks, but it's Eocene, but it turns out there's mammal tracks there, so we don't know.
Oh, what it was, did I hear that right? Even a tapir?
Cool. That's what we kind of thought, but I don't think that's what we ended up with.
Well, like probably
some
little,
kind of perissodactyl.
Yeah, there's a little horsey, some...
Cool.
Yeah.
I think it's got, is it 4 toes on the back, 3 on the front for a tapir?
And some brontotherium, probably.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. It's just this giant pile of limestone. Giant piles of limestone.
Yeah, and there's quite a few
With
different
like a
tribes.
quarry
tracks
situation.
poking out.
That's awesome.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's like a quarry situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's basically
a quarry.
just dumped rocks.
Yeah.
Dumped it.
Yeah.
And
It
then
was pretty far from the quarry itself.
it's kind of a shame because this thing's already been shut down, and they reclaimed the quarry.
Oh.
And there's so many tracks. You think, like, if you were there when they were quarrying, there must
Yeah.
have been like a ton of tracks.
Yeah, things that they
'Cause
just
most
missed.
of them they just got. I mean, they probably saw them, but they just sliced them up to make.
Yeah.
It's weird too because it's like this pretty porous, kind of sandy limestone, and they were making slabs for like I don't know what. I mean, it wouldn't be very good landscape stone.
Yeah, not
I mean, and
resilient
if
enough.
you're going to use it for like a countertop, you'd have to just really seal it up. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I think it was the person running it didn't either pay their royalties or something. It got shut down. But yeah, it was kind of a shame because you think like how many did they saw up? They
Yeah.
had some really cool tracks on them.
Uh-huh.
We're going to go do some more work down there. Yeah, track sites I think probably get reported more commonly than bone sites.
Is that how Mill Canyon track site was first discovered? Like a member of the public?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
private.
Yeah, so I think it was the woman who owns some of the land over there, right? That Sue Sternberg, I believe.
Well, that's cool. So as someone who responds to those inquiries occasionally, Don, if anybody watching right now
in here, just
happens to stumble across something they think might be an important fossil, what should they do? What's your
Yeah,
advice?
usually you can, depending on what state you're in, you can contact either the local natural history museum or if there is like a state agency like a state geological survey, something like that.
Send an email and some pictures?
Yeah, yeah. Put a scale in there.
Yeah.
That's always important. Yeah, we'll get quite a few. And we have a whole education and outreach section of the UGS, so they're the ones who field a lot of them. Plus we have that bookstore, so a lot of people just bring stuff in.
Right, yeah. Huh.
But yeah, we do also get, if you Google, I think it's gotten a little better, but it used to be if you Googled like fossil identification, we were one of the first websites to come up.
Oh, cool.
So we would have people from like all over the country like sending
Emailing you stuff, yeah.
We're just kind of like, well, maybe you can find someone a little closer to home. One time, some guy called me from like the Bronx or something, and
Yeah.
like, well, I was in this place. You go, I don't think you'd want to go there. I'm thinking, no, I probably wouldn't. He thought he found some bones or something. I'm like, oh well.
Could be
That's
recent
a lot
human
more.
bones, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Most likely.
Could be mafia
Yeah,
related.
exactly.
Yeah. Someone who ran afoul of Johnny Aguati.
That's right.
Is a banana scale okay? Hawk Raptor wants to know.
Better than
Well,
nothing.
I mean, better than nothing. At least it'll give us a general idea of the size.
Right.
But bananas are kind of variable.
Yeah, something of
Yeah.
a standard size. A ruler would be nice.
A
It is
ruler,
kind
a
of funny.
coin.
Yeah. Yeah, a coin is great.
A coin is great.
I'm often more fascinated by the stuff in the background of the photos sometimes. You can learn a lot about somebody
So,
just by
so nobody
seeing one.
carries coins anymore. A pen.
A pen? Yeah.
Pens are pretty standard.
Maybe you're next to you. I was going to say next to your phone, but you're probably using your phone to take the picture,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah.
But if a friend has a phone, right?
There you go. Yeah.
A phone could work. A phone could work.
Yeah, I mean, I think
They do tend to vary in size, though, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm thinking of what people would just have on them, you know?
yeah, often they have it at their house and they're taking a picture.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking like you stumble on it somewhere.
Yeah, to get a feel for it. Yeah, photos help a lot. And then some of them will just have some.
Yeah,
I have to see that.
yeah.
I don't know. If you can get hold of a scale, Bart. Man, this one is really faded, but we've got plenty of these for every
Tape
photograph
measure,
we take.
a lot of people.
Tape measure. Yeah.
There's a good one. Yeah. But yeah, just a ruler, tape measure, whatever you got. A pencil, another good one.
Yeah.
Although you already said pen, that's essentially the same
And
thing.
pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would work.
well, depending on how sharp the pencil is, it can be highly varied. Hear that thunder?
Yep.
Oh, but the
It's like quite
The
a
width
bit
of the pencil.
Yeah,
is at
it's-
least
Yeah.
a small pencil.
Ran in fairly good over there.
yeah.
Blood and good in Moab.
Looking good.
LTT banana for sale. What's that, Lenina? LTT banana?
Just don't use plantain.
Yeah.
That'd be really confusing.
Charlie's Dragon says, I was going to say your credit card, but you might not want to spread photos with the number.
Yeah,
on it.
don't take photos of your credit card.
You Maybe like your library card or something.
Yeah,
There you go.
your student ID. Maybe that word.
Social security card.
Yeah. Oh, Linus Tech Tips. Oh, gotcha, Lydia. Okay. Yeah, he streams on Twitch, doesn't he? I want to say we've rated there before. Big technology guy. Yeah. Do paleontologists ever stumble upon human remains and pass it off to anthropologists or something, or the FBI?
It's happened.
It happened.
Yeah,
But
it's not common.
Jim has stories about that.
Oh shoot, we'll have to ask
I mean,
him.
we
Yeah.
wouldn't find them like digging in here. We would
Yeah, it'd be on the surface
Yeah,
somewhere.
it'd be like walking around.
It would be a huge deal if we found in Cretaceous age rocks. Yeah. Although that could be a mafia thing too, you know. Digging a deep hole into a quarry and
I'm pretty
then...
sure that we're digging in a spot that hasn't been disturbed in quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so these rocks have been lying here for 140 million years. Anything that we find in them is going to be at least that old. Yeah. Time-traveling mafiosos burying their victims in the Cretaceous. It's an idea for
Here's a novel.
a novel, yeah. The hunt for Jimmy Hoffa continues.
Get Geraldo out here.
Could be sleeping with the ichthyosaurs. And how often has a full specimen been found together? Like a complete dinosaur skeleton? It's not common, but it does happen. It's more common with smaller dinosaurs. The smaller the dinosaur, the easier it is to bury it all at once. Like you need less sediment to cover it up. So like with big sauropod dinosaurs, it's extraordinarily rare to find anything that's close to complete. Because you just need... there would have had to have been so much sediment to cover up an animal the size of a school bus, you know? So, smaller dinosaurs, there's a higher likelihood that it'll be found complete. But we usually find these things through, looking at little... stumbling across little bits that are poking out of the surface. So, like, erosion has already done some work, already busted up some of those bones. So generally, if it's going to be found, that means that there's already a couple pieces missing. So it's pretty rare to find a complete dinosaur, but it does happen. There have been literally thousands of complete dinosaur skeletons found in bone beds, places like Ghost Ranch in New Mexico, or in Liaoning province in China, and the Yixian Formation. Just thousands of complete, like 100% complete dinosaur skeletons, every bone in articulation, in place. But we're not going to find that here, we think. This is... everything's been disarticulated in this particular bone bed. So all the bones have, fallen out of place. These animals were spending some time after they died. The skeletons are falling apart, things are getting scavenged, things are getting stepped on. We've got a couple of, broken bones from this quarry that, probably stepped on by another dinosaur. Yeah. Watching science at work, it's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Marcy Walks Dogs. Appreciate that. Yeah. Man, hear that thunder.
I think it's just regular mud.
Mud. Turn into
Little blob.
blob of mud.
Yeah.
Blob of mud.
Yeah.
Any fossilized leaves in this formation?
I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna just pop it first.
I'm sure there's some leaves in the Cedar Mountain Formation, but Cedar Mountain Formation is it's like 40 million years of time in here. So I'm sure there's been fossil leaves from somewhere, but we're not really getting leaves here. What we're getting is instead these bits of plant material, like this. So this is just a chunk of kind of permineralized plant fiber, probably the part of the trunk of a tree fern-like thing called Tempskia. Talked a little bit about that yesterday, I think. Yeah, so not so much a leaf, but just like...
We also wouldn't have leaves that we're more familiar with around at this time either, or at least they wouldn't be nearly as common.
Yeah, like angiosperm, yeah. So this is actually before flowering plants evolved. This is a world before flowers.
That's debatable, right?
Some people say that maybe angiosperms originated in the late Jurassic, but...
They weren't common.
They weren't as common until maybe the mid-Cretaceous.
Yeah, I don't think we start finding like body fossils of things. There might be like pollens that could be attributed to angiosperms from like the late Jurassic, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it's still controversial.
I know there's some debate as to when angiosperms originate.
Yeah.
But by this time, they definitely would not have been dominant in the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe there were a few flowering plants here and there, but we haven't found them yet in these rocks. And they may not have actually evolved yet. It's still up for debate. But this is a chunk of plant stuff in here, probably from Tempskia. Let's see, I'll spell that out again for you. Tempskia. There you go. Yeah.
We did send some Tempskia stuff off to Texas for somebody to look at.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
One of those paleontologists. We need more paleontologists.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll set this over here. So I can talk about it later if we get that question again.
Probably.
Yeah, 4:45.
The back alarm is going off.
Storm clouds are moving closer.
Preferred seating position left.
Yeah, I think those clouds are heading that way, but they are kind of expanding laterally a bit.
Yeah.
Definitely getting
I
closer.
wouldn't worry about
Yeah.
stuff.
No, I don't think it's gonna
Wind's
hit us.
coming a little bit south. So.
I'm enjoying the coolness.
This is really nice. I'll shoot down to just
Oh, did you want to?
101 right there.
You want to check the other kind of heat?
Oh yeah, should we do that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go get that dosimeter and do a little radiation test here. Got that right up there. The first time I've used this in this field. Right. So thank you very much to the generous viewer who sent this in from the wish list. Really appreciate that. Got a Geiger counter radiation detector dosimeter in here. What are you beeping about? Okay. I'm not experienced in using this sort of thing, so I don't know what precisely these readings are going to mean, but 0.24 is what we were getting right there. Let me put this on the bone itself and see if it jumps up at all. 0.24, 0.25, 24, 26. Yeah. doesn't seem like it's really
Yeah, I guess
Super
if you
hot.
put something different in the background.
yeah.
Usually they tend to have different levels of sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody want anything from Thompson? Nick is there now.
I'm good. Maybe more ice if we have room for it.
But yeah.
Awesome.
I think Jim was going to get some.
Yeah,
They got a lot of food.
No, I'm good, thanks.
we do.
Yeah.
What units is that? Let's see. SV/H, micro SV/H. Yeah, I'm not sure. But the fact that it's not going crazy beeping right now tells me it's probably not super radioactive.
But you're right, that might be the gloss. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Iffy when you like take that little course. If it didn't happen now, it would have happened in the lab.
0.27.
Chunk off.
No, that's fine.
Oh, MSV, okay. So at 0.28, this would be between a chest x-ray and a mammogram breast x-ray. But a lot more than a dental x-ray. Which, I think that might just be kind of background radiation level for this area. Oh, no. Never mind, because you put it up into the air and then it drops significantly. 0.13. Down on the ground it goes up to like 0.27. So yeah, not a great deal of radiation here. It's a little disappointing, honestly.
Not a little. Not a little.
Well, thanks, Ethan.
Yeah, maybe a clock tube or something.
Microsieverts per hour. Yeah. So 0 to 50 received in a short period or over a long period is safe. Thanks, Ethan. That's way less than 50. That's way less than 1. So, yeah, we're going to be totally fine here. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of this? Clock tube or? Bottom one of there. You don't get a little block off.
Oh, sweet.
You can take a look at that.
Yeah, it's a nice crack tube.
Oh, crocodile. Look at that. Very nice.
Pretty complete.
Crocodilomorph?
Yeah. Maybe a goniopholid, if that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just clearing.
That is a
There's
thing.
that. There's that.
Take it back to the Jurassic.
There's that ungual thing in there.
There's a little bit of bone there too. Looks like.
Yeah, I knew there was a couple of
Probably
little
that.
things going in and out. Yeah.
Very cool.
Ooh, nice. That's a nice. What is that? Another radius or something?
This little one?
Sure what that is.
No, this
Tiny
is
guy.
yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Radius or ulna? Yeah.
Looks like
Yeah,
we.
just pop that little chunk off.
Looks like we have either Vega or Rain, which like in the Juan Lopez maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, Juan Lopez.
Nice. Pretty cool. Beautiful croc tooth there. Very nice. Good stuff. Just another day's work here. Oh, you can smell that rain. And here comes that wind. So this should be drifting that direction. Shouldn't hit us, but you can smell the. Oh man, you can smell the rain here. I'm sure humidity just shot up. Yeah, let's take a look. 11%. No, that's gonna go up. Set this back here. All right. So that's my cue to wrap things up, so I can help with teardown. So let's go ahead and find somebody to raid here, and then I'll see if I can kind of scoot everybody over to somebody else doing some science on Twitch right now. So don't go away. All right. There. Okay, who else is on? PaleoStream is on. Let's go right into PaleoStream. Let's see here. So PaleoStream is a real-life paleo artist from Germany. He's had a number of different published illustrations. It's always a good time over at PaleoStream, so we'll go join them. Raid PaleoStream. There we go. Thank you everybody for being here today. Thank you for your questions, for your viewership, for your enthusiasm. I'll be streaming again tomorrow with any luck. So I try and keep this from blowing off my head. There we go. Let's take it off. But yeah, it's been wonderful kind of sharing our work with you here. Looking forward to doing that again mañana. So you all take care of yourselves, and let's go see what PaleoStream is up to. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care.